Abdelbaset al Megrahi was a Libyan who was head of security for Libyan Arab Airlines, director of the Center for Strategic Studies in Tripoli, Libya, and an alleged Libyan intelligence officer. On the 31st of January 2001, Megrahi was convicted by a panel of 3 Scottish judges sitting in a special court at Camp Zeist in the Netherlands of 270 counts of murder for the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, on the 21st of December 1988 and was sentenced to life imprisonment. His co-accused, Laman Khalifa Fima, was found not guilty and was acquitted. Megrahi unsuccessfully appealed his conviction in January 2001. In June 2007, the Scottish Criminal Cases Review Commission granted Megrahi leave to appeal against his Lockerbie bombing conviction for a second time. After initially appealing, Megrahi abandoned his second appeal in August 2009 as an ongoing appeal would have prevented him from being moved to Libya under the prisoner transfer scheme, which was thought to be a possibility. He decided to drop his appeal 2 days before he was released on compassionate grounds by the Scottish Government on 20 August 2009. Doctors reported on 10 August 2009 that he had terminal prostate cancer. On his return to Libya, al-Megrahi was initially hospitalized, then allowed to leave on 2 November 2009, taking up residence in a villa in Tripoli. He died on 20 May 2012, 2 years and 9 months after his release. Several legal experts as well as the UN observer at the Lockerbie trial have vehemently challenged the verdict that convicted Megrahi, while Ulrich Lumpert, the Mabo AG engineer who testified to the validity of a key piece of evidence, admitted in an affidavit to lying in court and stealing the object from his employer, after which he gave it to one of the crime investigators. Megrahi, Abdelbaset al Megrahi was born in Tripoli on 1 April 1952 to a poor family. Although little is known of his early life, in 1971, he spent 9 months studying in Cardiff, Wales, and in the late 1970s, he made multiple visits to the United States and the United Kingdom. Later, he was the head of security for Libyan Arab Airlines and director of the Center for Strategic Studies in Tripoli. It was alleged by the FBI and the prosecution in the Lockerbie case that he was also an officer of the Libyan intelligence service, Jamahiriya al-Mukhabarat. In November 1991, Megrahi and Fima were indicted by the U.S. Attorney General and the Scottish Lord Advocate for the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. Libya refused to extradite the 2 accused, but held them under armed house arrest in Tripoli, offering to detain them for trial in Libya, as long as all the incriminating evidence was provided. The offer was unacceptable to the US and UK, and there was an impasse for the next 3 years. On 23 March 1995, over 6 years after the 1988 attack, Megrahi and Fima were designated as United States fugitives from justice and became the 441st and 442nd editions on the FBI 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list. This list offered a $4 million United States reward from the U.S. Airline Pilots Association, Air Transport Association, and United States Department of State, and $50,000 from the Federal Bureau of Investigation for information leading to their arrest. The parties eventually agreed on a compromise and a trial was held in the Netherlands under Scots law. The trial format was engineered by legal academic Professor Robert Black of the University of Edinburgh and was given political impetus by the British Foreign Secretary, Robin Cook. Protracted negotiations with the Libyan leader, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, and the imposition of UN economic sanctions against Libya brought the 2 accused to trial in a neutral country. Over 10 years after the bombing, Megrahi and Fima were placed under arrest at Camp Zeist in the Netherlands on 5 April 1999. During his 7-year house arrest awaiting deportation and trial, Megrahi lived on a Libyan Arab Airlines pension and worked as a teacher. The Scottish High Court of Justiciary at Camp Zeist was presided over by 3 senior judges and an additional, non-voting judge. The 2 accused, Megrahi and Laman Khalifa Fima, denied all charges against them. The full charges included the names of the murdered 259 passengers and crew of Pan Am Flight 103, and the 11 residents killed on the ground at Lockerbie in Scotland. Representing Megrahi were his solicitor, Alistair Duff, and advocates William Taylor QC, David Burns QC and John Beckett. FEMA was represented by solicitor Eddie McKechnie and advocates Richard Keane QC, Jack Davidson QC and Murdo MacLeod. Both defendants also had access to a Libyan defense lawyer, Kamal Maghar, a former foreign affairs minister in the Libyan government. Court proceedings started on 3 May 2000. The crucial witness against Megrahi for the prosecution was Tony Gauci, a Maltese stockkeeper, who testified that he had sold Megrahi the clothing later found in the remains of the suitcase B.